So let it be written. So let it be done. This is Tabletop Terrors. You want to build a world and you don't know where to start. There are a lot of different places to start. We're going to give you ours. James, where do you start with world building?
So my favorite place to start in world building is to make someone else do all the hard work.
Hey!
No, but seriously, I usually will find a small idea or something that I want to explore, and I will run a game using it, whether that's D&D 5th edition or something else. And I will just kind of make all the things I need to run this adventure. Occasionally, you'll run into things like, oh, well, they're breaking into, some sort of records room. Well, why would they have that? Why would there be a room of records? And then you kind of build just enough so that if the players, kind of peer past the story, there's, a bit of a facade there and they don't realize anything, that the whole world isn't fully fledged because they're kind of only interacting with this small part. And then as we play and they ask questions, as the GM, I'll answer them, or I'll ask them, well, what do you think? And by the end of a session, and certainly by the end of a longer campaign of maybe 5-6 sessions, there's a lot that exists in the world without having to worry about how long the year is, if that didn't come up in the campaign, or exactly how many gods there might be, or a lot of the things that aren't the most necessary to worry about to kind of get it going, to get on the road and start going. So that's really where I like to start, is just running a good solid couple of games in what might be my world.
Yeah, and so for me, one of the things that I've learned, and the reason why we're doing this video is I've had 3 people approach me with this exact question personally, like, hey, where do you start? And I found that I realized something that I wanted to share, which is there's no shortcut either. And that sounds probably a little basic, but I think sometimes when we're world building, we want it all to be done at once. And the truth of it is, world building is more of a process than it is a finished product. And if you can get that into your head and enjoy the process, you'll have a better time of it. So my daughter actually has one of these coloring books that has all of these really like finite, granular spaces to color. This is world building. This is an unfinished world. Okay. Now, what you do is you choose the color to get to really push this analogy. You choose one color, and I'm like, all right, cool. This is the color I'm feeling right now. And you say, I'm going to say, in my world, clerics do X. And so for that reason, they do Y, and that's it. And so I might sit, and it's going to be difficult to see, but there's one piece filled in. And the truth is, world building is filling in those pieces one at a time and making sure that the colors match what you're imagining, they all go together, and that it creates this really cool tapestry at the end. But you can't shortcut it, is the thing. You can't say, all right, well, I'm just going to sit down and design the whole world. I mean, you could, but it would be the same as if I sat down and tried to fill all those in 10 minutes or 20 minutes. It would be sloppy. It wouldn't be as thoughtful. So that's the thing. Start with something small and finish it would be my number one piece of advice. Don't come up with, all right, time to figure out what every class is in my world. I highly advise against that. I think that you should just go, oh, cool, I'm kind of feeling paladins. What would paladins be like? And just start, and it can be a paragraph. I'm not saying go in and stat something out or write out a whole, new oath. You just say, paladins in my world serve lords, like actual living people who pay them. That's it. Okay? Filled that in. That was my thing. And then you slowly create a tapestry.
Yeah, I totally agree that, like, as far as, world building process goes, that there's no like immediate, that's just kind of like you fill in kind of each thing as you need it. And, for one game, you might not need to know what clerics do if no one's playing the cleric. So then you just you do what needs to happen to make sure that the game can run. But it can be difficult sometimes as you kind of plan out a world over a long bit of time to like make sure that everything connects cohesively together. So kind of one of my starting points for a world is kind of just decide how I want the world to feel in like the broadest possible sense. Like, what's it like to play or exist in this world? Is it super grimy and gritty and dangerous? Is it super flamboyant and exciting and adventurous? And if you can kind of decide, kind of what the average adventurer's life is going to feel like kind of day to day, then you can kind of start to make sure that each element that you add into the world kind of makes a coherent sort of tonal feeling rather than kind of scattershotting around. And another way that I like to do that is to basically decide on like 3 to 4 what I call pillars of the world. So things that kind of set the world apart from any other world that can really make it feel unique in a sense. So for example, in a world that I'm making right now called Glyph, one of the things about it is that monsters are born from people who do bad things. Monsters they're not just born, randomly. They're not created by a person. It's like a person does something wrong and exerts unjust power, and then they transform into a monster. So that's like one big pillar. Monsters are from people who do bad things, and then another pillar might be that heroes are born from people who do good things, and they build things and they kill monsters, And you can kind of start to build these like 3 or 4 big headline sort of tags that you can put across the world. And then make sure that as you're building any individual element, as you're coloring in each square, to continue Tim's analogy there, you can kind of make sure that the colors are going to match, that you can, have it kind of themed in a certain way and make sure that it feels as coherent as you want it to be. And those are some kind of big guideposts to make sure that anything you add is going to fit how you want the world to feel and the experiences that you want it to create in your players and in your games.
Yeah, and to sort of bring it all home, I think, so that framework you're talking about is like choosing the shape, if you know it. What outline are you going to use? Flowers versus different pieces. And then to take James's advice, it'd be like, well, I'm going to run a game right here. And then you'd start filling these things in. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much it. I will also give you one final piece of advice. No matter what you do, there's a super high chance that someone you run across, especially on the internet, is going to tell you it's been done before. And don't let that deter you. I think that's one of the number one things I would tell world builders. The idea is original to you, and you love it, and you've never seen it before, and you share it. And for reasons we'll probably go into in the deep dive video, sometimes people go, oh, you mean just like X? Don't worry about it. It's not going to be just like X, because no one's going to fill out that sheet the same way twice, even if it is the same outline. So, yeah, I think that'll get you started at least. So, we are Tabletop Terrors. We love fun, creativity, and RPGs. If you like those things, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you find out exactly when we post videos. What about you? Where did you start with world building? That's what I want to know in the comments. And, put below, are we missing something? Do you disagree? Or what's that trick that maybe we missed that really will help someone who's looking to get started? I guess let's wrap things up with a Tabtarian toast.
May you mend the first break.
May you kill the first snake.
May you conquer everything you undertake.
Sláinte.
Sláinte.
I remember when I first started world building, and I was embarrassed at the name of the world, Dragongreen. And so I came up with a second name to tell everyone, like apologetically, like, well, it's really called Arthenvale, but a lot of people call it Dragongreen. And then I realized that was really stupid, and that I should have just went with Dragongreen and believe it myself a little more. Hey, if you like this video, you'll definitely like this one and this one. I guarantee it.